Welcome in to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What you know about getting your happy on? This is what I do. I got my boy Carter back in the studio. Man, it's going down. Welcome back, Carter.
Good to be back.
Man, I was wondering if you was going to come back and see me, man.
I was gonna come back.
Yeah, okay. I was going to have to put out an APB or something. Look for you.
I was attending some sport events the last couple of weekends.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna give you a pass, man. But let me know, man, before you disappear on me like that. All right?
All right.
Hey, Carter, look here, man. We're going to have some fun tonight. Plus, I got somebody in the studio that's famous. They're going to make us both famous.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, so we good. Yo, hey, welcome to the Get Your Happy On Hour on 93.7 The Ticket. It's your boy, Ricky C. Simmons. I'm your host. But look here, it ain't about me tonight. But I do want to share something with you before we get started. You know, for all the people all around the country, man, that are actually doing positive things for people that are less fortunate, I just want to say a big shout out to you. I mean, I've noticed that, you know, like this time of year is holiday time. I get it. But, you know, like the free giveaways of turkeys and dinners and stuff. I think that's really big that every city has some organization doing that. And I just want to give a shout out to those people because we don't give a lot of credit to positive things. And that's just something I noticed here recently. And I just really, really was touched by that. And so big shout out to everybody that's doing positive things out there. Actually, I wish I could challenge the whole world, man, and just say, hey, look, let's treat all the time, let's treat the world like it's a holiday. You know, don't necessarily have to wait till Thanksgiving or Christmas. Let's just be that way 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It doesn't cost you nothing. And it's just I think it's just the right thing to do. But hey, I got Maggie Thorne in the house tonight, and I'll be real honest with you. I got some questions for her too, but first, I just want to say hello, Maggie, and thank you for coming, man. That means the world to me. You've been friends with me for a while now, and every time I call you, you come through for me, so thank you.
Well, we're almost at the decade mark.
Yeah.
Ricky, 2013, and you're even sporting a hat that has a bow on the side, too.
What?
So thank you. I said, Ricky's going to wear a hat tonight. I got to throw my hat on. And little did we know, Carter already has his own show, right? Welcome back, Carter.
What?
He probably doesn't even know what that is.
No, he's a little, he's a youngster, but that's
you know what that is.
I know exactly what it is.
Carter,
And actually, that was a good one. I like that.
But now is the Ricky show.
Yes, but
I love that.
But but seriously though, I just got to say before we even get started with the questions, I just got to say thank you because I'm gonna give you an opportunity to share with our audience how we met and everything. But first of all, I was just sitting here thinking, I did a little research on you, and I was thinking to myself, originally from the California area somewhere, and you ended up in Nebraska running track. Wait a minute. I mean, California and Nebraska, that's kind of a long ways from home. So,
yeah, I'm originally from San Diego.
Okay.
And I grew up in a low-income household. Both my brothers were in and out of jail, high school dropouts. One of them was in a gang. And I actually didn't even play sports growing up. We didn't have enough money. We lived with another family. And it was actually because of a teacher in high school who thought I looked fast in PE, told the track coaches, and I got this little letter in the mail. We'd like to invite you to try out for track. I was freshman, gangly, never played a sport in my life. I was active, of course.
Right.
But I had, my home was very chaotic, but I did have one really positive memory of being at a track one day with my brothers, and I jumped over something. So the first day I showed up for track, no idea what's going on. And the coach said, is there anything you're interested in? Have you ever seen anything? I said, I've seen people jump something. He said, hurdles? Yeah, sure. And so he sets up 3 hurdles and just says, run it. And here I am in my little street shoes, can't even afford running shoes. And all this plays into everything I've done in my life. But I 3-stepped the very first time. And what that led to is I went on to become the #1 runner in California and realized that you can choose opportunity and not always see opposition. So it's really played into the organizations I'm passionate about and everything I pursue.
Well, let me ask you this. when you come to Nebraska, did you actually come on a track scholarship, or what did you do? I mean, how did you get here?
First of all, my grades in high school were horrible. I wasn't a good student. I had a 1.69, so I went to a JUCO first,
Okay.
got my grades up to a 3.96,
Wow.
and realized, you know
What JUCO did you go to?
it was just in San Diego.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I was out in San Diego. And here's the thing, nobody ever thought I would leave California. So all the California schools lowballed me, which gave me a chance. One, hey, I let them all recruit me. And then all the other schools out of state were throwing full rides at me. So I got recruited by University of North Carolina, Ball State, Texas, and University of Nebraska Lincoln.
Well, I gotta ask. I mean, I'm just curious to know what made you choose Nebraska, though.
You know, I'll tell you right now, I was a party girl in high school. I always had a surfboard in my car, longboard. I was at the beach all the time, a bonfire. But for as dumb as I was, I did have a sense, you know, I want different.
Okay.
I want to finish
Need
high
to
school.
change.
I want to graduate college. I wanted something different. And I realized I need to have the resources around me to make that happen. And that was one thing that started developing me is it matters the people that are around you, the you know, having a team to help you succeed. And Nebraska really offered that. I remember going on my recruiting trip and literally my old coach almost didn't even tell me about it. He's like, Nebraska called, like you'd ever go to Nebraska. And kind of because he said that, I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to go on a recruiting trip to Nebraska. And then I fell in love with it. I remember being in the student life complex and Dennis LeBlanc walks over and says, hi, how are you? And then he stopped and waited for me to answer. And being a California girl, I was like, oh, he means it.
Yeah.
You know, they care.
Right.
And you start to encounter multiple people like that. And I was like, this place is different. I feel like they don't even know me, but they're for me. And that means something. And then I also saw the track raise up and the hydraulics. They did this whole thing, you know, as the recruit walks in, the track floats up. And I was like, you know, drooling. Oh my God. You know? And then when they offered a full ride, I was like, yeah, that's it. I signed when I got back and I knew that it was Nebraska for me.
Well, you know what? First of all, I'm gonna say I'm glad you stuck with Nebraska. I mean, you've been doing some amazing things, and you know, it also leads me to this. You know, you also not only ran track and had a lot of success. Can you explain to me how you went from running track to competing in pageants and stuff? Because you won. Matter of fact, you were something when I met you.
Yes. So first of all, I took a little dip into amateur boxing actually and was a Midwest Golden Gloves champion.
Wow.
Because that's a natural transition from track. Like, oh, I'm going to go get punched in the face for a while. And then after I was like, okay, maybe that's not for me. So I started having kids and the person, my ex-husband was like, I don't really want to watch you get punched anymore. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I have a baby now, you know? So I stopped boxing. I actually took a spell, spent 10 years managing multi-million-dollar construction projects. I worked for the Nebraska Athletic Department, helped build East Stadium, Pinnacle Bank Arena,
did not know that,
Devaney Center renovation project. So I loved being able to build the facilities that I used to live in as a student athlete because, I mean, you know this more than anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
You can leave it better than when you came, but if you could help the environment and you understand what it is. So I loved making all the facilities better. And people said, oh gosh, are you ever jealous that those were facilities you didn't have? And I was like, no, not at all. I'm excited every day because I picture, what if I was that new student coming in? What would make them want to be here? Because I know how special Nebraska is to me, and I wanted that to create that opportunity for more students.
Well, you've done a wonderful job helping create the things that are here now and the things that we're hopefully going to have in the future too. So thank you for that. But you never answered my question.
I'm about to answer it.
Okay. All right. I'm waiting.
I wouldn't be remiss unless I had that piece of it. So over the course of those 10 years, my brother took his life. He died by suicide in 2005. And then in 2011, my best friend took her life. And we were in the middle of our biggest capital campaign. I was pregnant with my third child. And the day of her funeral, I felt like God spoke to me to build people and not buildings. And I'm watching her casket go into the ground and really asking, wow, yeah, I can leave this legacy of East Stadium and Pinnacle Bank and, you know, all these major projects that are going to be landmarks for Nebraska, or I can really, really invest in building people with the skill sets I've been given. And so I quit, and people told me, wow, you'll never be successful again. Like, the fun fact about that is I actually started that job picking up trash. I was a student worker.
Huh.
It wasn't what my degree was in. I have wiped down every bleacher in Memorial Stadium. I've vacuumed every suite, used to set up tables. They brought me into the office to fill in for someone, just to answer phones. And there was a group of guys. Boyd Epley was there. And I spoke up, and they all turned and looked at me. And Boyd just actually started to give me projects. He'd see where I take it. I know I still haven't answered you yet, but this part's important. He'd see where I take it and wouldn't tell me anything else, how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I had to compete for that job in capital planning against a guy who had a master's degree in architecture.
Oh, wow.
And I had a bachelor's in community health. But as much as you can have the best degrees, sometimes you can't outwork someone. And so I got the job and spent the next 10 years designing and managing the facilities I used to clean.
So that was just dedication and hard work, basically.
And never selling yourself short. I
Right.
have so many people say, well, I don't have the skills. I can't do this. I'm not equipped for it. And I disagree. I believe if you want it, you want it. You can equip yourself. There's a way. Everything is possible. And so all of that played into American Ninja Warrior. So in my mid 30s, after a decade-long career and having 3 children, I became a professional athlete because that's what everybody does.
But Maggie, you still haven't answered my one question. The pageants. How did you get into that?
Yes, the pageants. So I did a pageant in high school, and that was one of the things that, if I want to be out there in the public and impacting people and sharing and speaking, I felt like I wasn't really equipped with that skill set yet. And if there's anything, you have to know how to have stage presence. So that was one of the avenues that I wanted to take to not only set this stage, but what I wanted to do to the community, but set the stage for any other dream.
Now, would you share with everyone what contest you actually won?
I was Mrs. International 2014. I competed against 64 other women from around the world.
Wow.
And it was a platform-based pageant. So I actually ended up being a spokesperson for an international nonprofit called Souls for Souls, whose mission was to give shoes, and that was to kids like me who didn't have a pair of shoes when I showed up on that first day of track.
That's amazing, because that's when I met you. You were Mrs.
International.
Miss International.
We had our 2 little tables next to each other at
Yeah.
Outfit Air Force Base. And you had a pamphlet,
Yeah.
Ricky C. Simmons, and your story, and you were trying to get going and out there. And
Yeah. I was just getting started at that time. Actually, I think,
I
when was that?
remember.
Like 2013?
2013.
Yeah, because I mean, I had been trying to get on for like 2 or 3 years, but I was just finding my way at that time. And then when I met you, you were very nice to me, and you didn't have to be, because you were, in my eyes, you had already reached a level. I mean, being that winner of that pageantry, I thought that was big. So I was looking at you kind of like, man, she's arrived, And then when I found out you were a former Husker, I was like, well, I got to go introduce myself. So I'm really glad that I did, and I'm glad that we've remained friends over the years, man. That's pretty cool. So I feel honored. Now, this American Ninja Warrior thing, now, Maggie, I mean, that's quite a leap from pageantry and building facilities. I mean, how did you become a professional athlete?
Well, I wanted to have that platform with sports to continue. I knew, okay, you know what? I'm still athletic. I have all these other skill sets. Now, what else can I use? Well, what else besides the global platform of NBC, a major television network? So I tried out, I made it my first year, and then I actually did horrible. I failed on the first obstacle. They aired it. People are like, oh, I know you fell. And I'm like, yeah, great to meet you. I mean, it's one thing to fail, but then the world sees you fail. And so I actually applied again, and I was rejected, and I applied again, and I was rejected. And it wasn't until 4 years in when everybody told me, you need to quit, you need to give up, you're wasting your time, they don't want you, like, foolish. I actually lost friends over it because it was like they thought it was foolish ambition. I said, I actually believe I'm meant for this, that God's going to use this and I'm supposed to do it. And I came back as the top female year 4 in my region, and it was like a female to beat, one of the only obstacles at that time, made to national finals.
I saw some of your events, and I mean, I know I couldn't do it personally, but I was happy for you just because I knew you. But I mean, some of those things are very difficult.
You
I
take
mean,
on your own obstacles in a different kind of way. We all have an obstacle.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
Some of ours end up in water.
yeah, see, and that's the one I was worried about. I was like, nah, I better stay on the ground.
If you ever do a really scary speaking engagement, I can be there with a kiddie pool after you're done and you can just jump in it. We can simulate this.
Make me feel special.
I'll get a crowd, some lights, little kids with flashlights, and you can make a big splash.
Well, I'll tell you what, Maggie, I'm going to let you do that. And speaking of that, are you still doing that?
I am still doing Ninja Warrior. I just finished my 7th season on the show.
Wow.
And I competed for a couple of the shows for NBC. Team Ninja Warrior, I did 2 seasons. And then also 2 seasons of Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge, where we made it to the finals twice and missed out on being the champions twice.
What? Well, one thing I will say about you, you have a title. I guess it's your handle for like Twitter or no, Instagram.
For everything.
Yeah, for everything. Never give up. Is that right?
It is.
Yeah, and I admire that because I understand that concept. And you went through something that most people don't know about. And if you don't mind, it's up to you. I'd like for you to share. You had a fall on when you were competing that led to TBI. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Could you elaborate a little bit on what a TBI is and how yours happened?
Yeah, for people that don't know, a TBI is a traumatic brain injury. So mine was classified as a mild TBI. And it happened in Oklahoma City when I actually had the best year I'd ever had on the show. I finally got the warp wall, was the second mom up the warp wall. But the thing about it is I don't remember it at all. I was in a full sprint on an obstacle that was covered for traction, a piece of steel, not padding, because you don't want squishy when you're running on things. But I face planted and did this nice little scorpion. And I continued on. Well, what happened was apparently people told me later, they told me this account of, hey, here's what really happened. Cause I was like, oh my gosh, I remember being on the starting line and then I remember being in my home and that's it.
Wow.
And so I had this lost day of my life, but someone said, well, you got off the course, threw up in your mouth, swallowed it, went and did an interview and then went and got lost on a curb somewhere until someone found me and was like, you're not okay. Sent me to the ER. But the thing with concussions, even in 2019 is when it was, is people still don't know a lot. So the doctors are like, oh, you're fine. It's not a big deal. But when I got back to Nebraska, someone came to check on me and I was like in the dark, curled on my couch. And the thing is, yeah, American Ninja Warrior happened, but years before I'd been an amateur boxer, I'd been in a surfing accident. So I had a lifelong history of concussions. And this was the one that it just did me and I wasn't recovering from it. They brought me to the hospital and realized, oh, you have post-concussive syndrome. You have a mild TBI. So what that meant for me is my eyes stopped communicating. I had to do vision. I had to do speech and cognitive at Madonna Rehabilitation Hospital. And actually, Madonna was incredible. Without them, I would have ever been able to come back to the show. But initially, my recovery was going to be like, okay, 2 months and you're going to be fine. And that felt practical to me. Okay, that's not a big deal. But they said, wait, you're not getting better. And then it was 3 months and 4 months until it became a year of outpatient.
What? Wow, oh, man. That was kind of tough for me there, Carter. I mean, so many people take so many things for granted, and then they see all the positive stuff that you do and they never see the other side. So, wow, thank you for sharing that. I'm glad you recovered, but that took courage. So I understand the never give up.
In that season of my life, I actually hated the phrase never give up. I was angry at it. And I was able to say it for a really long time. And it meant something to me. It meant something to the people like my brother who, their lives were lost. And so never give up meant something there. It meant never give up on your dreams because what did I do? I was able to translate success across multiple platforms. Construction, pageantry, American Ninja Warrior. So all the same principles. So never give up there and on your dreams. But here I was in this, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm used to being able to control things and fix things and bounce back from injury. And I had no control over my body. You know, I spent 20 hours a week in rehab at Madonna with incredible doctors, but I was just sad. I had never known a sadness like that. And
was it like depression or?
I couldn't fix it. There's so many things that I had to say no to. I wasn't allowed to drive more than an hour, so I had to cancel almost all my speaking engagements. I mean, I couldn't be the mom I wanted to be. I wasn't allowed to do physical activity. So
Wow.
everything that was the core part of my life is all of a sudden I had to say no to. But I'll tell you what, I believe it's also the biggest blessing in my life, because I think there's so many things that God wanted to heal me for a long time that he finally said, no, enough.
Right.
If you want to heal, this is how it's going to happen. So it wasn't until about 6 months in when I felt like I was in this pit, and the only thing I'd been doing is trying to get out. But what really God wanted to do is, all right, how can I get in? And who can you be in this moment? Who can you be in the worst of your life? And that's when I realized it wasn't about saying never give up. It was about becoming never give up.
Man, amazing story. You know, hey, look, we're gonna continue this conversation, but right now we gotta take a break. Hey, you guys stay tuned. We got a lot more coming with Maggie Thorne on the Get Your Happy On Hour with the Ricky C. Simmons as your host on 93.7 The Ticket.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese Beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock, or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now. In our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
I think it's just vapor.
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you're eligible to receive? Do you want help navigating the application or appeals process? Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. You've served our country, now let us serve you. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse?
Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who
got his first job, not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Back to the Get Your Happy On Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Man, look at him. We back. Hey, Carter, you gotta let that ride for a minute, man, because I'm gonna start getting my happy on. I can't help myself, man. Once I get started, it's on, man. It's just, hey, and if I could dance, I'd be really dangerous.
I just gotta.
What? Welcome back to the Get Your Happy On Hour with your host, Ricky C. Simmons. Hey, look here, we on 93.7 The Ticket, and we getting it in tonight. I got my special guest, Maggie Thorne, here with me. She's doing big things. I got Carter back in the house. So, man, look here. We got the band back together. So we good. Well, Maggie, you was telling us a lot of stuff, man. And I'm still kind of shocked at all the stuff that you've had to overcome. But, I guess I'm just kind of curious, man. I got these questions for you, and I've known you, and I've never asked you these questions. So let's see. What's the first question I want to ask you? Let's go with, I had wrote it down just so I wouldn't forget. Tell us something you did growing up that you wouldn't tell nobody. And now, as an adult, you kind of look back on it and laugh.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I was a troublesome child. But the non-troublesome things that I'm willing to share with people.
Okay. Yeah.
I loved imagining I was some kind of secret soldier. And my parents, even though we were in San Diego, we had like this big yard that had these huge bushes. And I would go hide in the bushes like I was going to ambush somebody. I mean, one of my dreams has always been to have someone drop me out of a helicopter with a buck knife and see if I can survive. And people are like, you dream very differently than I do. But that was what I dreamed of as a kid. I would go out front in the rain and I'm in the Congo, and I don't even know why the Congo, but that was it. I dreamed I was a secret
Hey, that's
soldier.
okay. Hey, that's okay. I got one I want to share, but this one right here is not going to make a lot of sense. It's not going to make a lot of sense. But I was born with an allergy. Okay. So from birth till I was 13, I was allergic to green grass.
Oh my gosh.
So in the summer times, I'm just going to pick the age 7. 7 years old in the summertime in Texas, grass turns green, my eyes would turn blood red. I mean, I didn't understand it, but it was like, as a kid, you think about it, it's like, man, I'm walking around at 7 years old with bloodshot eyes and people thinking I've been drinking or doing something, But I was allergic to green grass, and 3 different specialists in 3 different cities, excuse me, they all told me the same thing. They say at 13, he'll outgrow it. And I got to admit to the public that I kind of capitalized on it. When I turned 13, sure enough, I did outgrow it. But at 14, I started smoking weed.
Oh, God.
So I could justify the red eyes that weed gave me. I mean, I wasn't real proud of it at the time, but, that's something y'all might not know about Ricky C. Simmons. But you know what? Hey, it's over now. So that's the most important thing. And more than anything, I just like to, I really do. I say it all the time on every show. I love focusing on positive, and I try to pick guests that would fit that, and you definitely fit that.
Thank you.
Thank
I thought you were going to say I was allergic to unhappy people. And I'm like, this explains everything.
No. I mean, I really didn't never have any issues with anybody. I think my choices led to a lot of consequences, over my life. And these last 13 plus years that I've been clean and sober, man, I really have, I've really
I'm always gonna
focused.
clap for that.
Yeah, but I've really focused on just the positive things in life because, a lot of times, they call it wisdom, I guess, but most people that, in my opinion, most people that have wisdom, they've been through some stuff. They've been through some trials and tribulations in life. I mean, they've went through some hard times. Wisdom don't just pop up, it don't just show up, you have to earn it.
Yeah.
So I'm very serious about being happy because I just think that the world is so full of unhappiness. And I don't even know why that is, and I'm not trying to pretend that I do, but I just prefer to choose. I've chosen for the last 13 plus years just to focus on the positive. And I do it under the understanding that I'm doing this to honor my parents in heaven.
Yeah.
So, everybody has to find their own way to be happy, but I look for things to make me happy all the time. I have another question for you too.
Yeah, I was about to tell you, I know why the world's unhappy. Do you want to know why?
Tell me.
Because all those alligators, they're honoring. They have nobody to brush their teeth. It's a Waterboy reference. I just wanted to make you laugh. All right, go ahead. Shoot. Next question.
What about? I know you had. I know you've dealt. You shared about the TBI and and some other things that have. Like your early childhood wasn't the best. But as an adult, what are some of the stumbling blocks that you ran upon? Or has come in your path since you've been doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, those stumbling blocks. I mean, one of them, which is, it's weird to say it's a stumbling block, but being a single mom, I mean, that's challenging. You're out there and working and parenting and balancing that. And so I've always really had a hard line in the sand that if my kids can't be involved, I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like that's limited opportunity for me either, because I mean, you'll start to attract what you put out there. And I feel like if anybody knows me, they know who I am and what I'm about, and I don't shy away from it. And if that's something that's not for them, I also have peace with that. And so that's been really like, hey, this is my line in the sand. And those stumbling blocks, so to speak, hey, I'm pretty good at obstacles. So
Yeah.
it becomes,
Very good.
I have a big saying, and this is what I speak about a lot, and I know you'll talk about that later,
Mhm.
is there's opposition and then there's opportunity.
Right.
And I really have a mindset that no matter what you're in, there's always, always opportunity. There's a lesson to learn. Even when it's the worst, you have to allow yourself to feel things. If I had to really narrow it down and say, okay, we know you're positive, we know you can spin things, but there has to be something that's really challenging for you.
Mhm.
And I would say is allowing myself to feel those emotions. I think I'm actually my best, strongest self is when I started to actually become a little more vulnerable, let my emotions out there and let them have a place to live for a little bit, and
Mhm.
almost became not friends with my weaknesses, but I was able to sit across the table from them, because when you know what your weaknesses are and you can sit across the table, that's actually when you're your strongest self and you know how to use them too.
I agree with you. I think for myself, stumbling blocks is trying to make myself understand that it took what it took for me to get to where I am, and I need to be more patient, from others, expecting others to be. It's like I almost want to say it's like I want to expect others to understand what I understand, and that's not really fair. I mean, because I look at for 25 years of using cocaine. I mean, there were so many people, including my parents, who were both in heaven, saying, "Ricky, don't, just leave it alone, just stop." And I couldn't figure that little simple concept out. And now that I've been blessed with the opportunity to understand that drugs is not for me, I'm actually allergic to drugs now, is the way I look at it. Um, I want everybody to be okay. And, and I don't think it's my place to tell anyone how to live or what to do or what not to do, but I guess I know those consequences. And man, I just don't wish those consequences on anyone, because a lot of times there's no coming back from it, in my case. And I just want everybody, unrealistically as it may sound, I just really want everybody to be happy.
Yeah, and I mean, any action is going to have a result, and whether that's
Mhm.
positive action or not so positive action is actions equal output.
Right, right. So I guess my thing is I'm going to continue doing what I do. I know you're going to continue doing what you do.
That's right.
And that to me is inspirational too, because, I look just like society sometimes looks for negativity. I have that same energy looking for positivity. And I actually look at people like yourself that are being positive, because it inspires me to continue, because then I know I'm not fighting this fight by myself.
I actually do carry the belief. I do think the world's the best it's ever been. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you why in 30 seconds.
Okay.
People have always said, "Oh, I wish I knew who was hurting. I wish I knew who was wrestling with something. I wish what was going on in the world so I could help fix it." Well, guess what? We're there. We know, okay, more than ever, people are wrestling with depression or anxiety, and they're
Mhm.
talking about it. So
Right.
what does that mean for us? That means opportunity. That means you have a chance for action.
Right.
And so if all this is out here and you can see it, we're now seeing it. We have the capability to have it in our pocket any moment. That means you can do something about it any moment. So for me, I'm like, wow, now we know. Let's take action. And I think you have that kind of personality too.
Oh, absolutely. I just, like I said, whether it's realistic or not, I guess we could debate that, but I really just want to see people happy. I mean, I don't know why that's so important, but to me, I just think it's a better way of living. I mean, when you're trying to lift people up, unfortunately, there's not a lot of people going to give you credit. And saying I think our society now is set up on how we can get so many likes, or we can become popular social media wise or whatever. And that's not my goal. I know it's not yours. I mean, I like to just actually see people do better.
We've already been set up on that system for a long time, especially
Mhm.
in schools when they start with little star charts and who does the best and who can get
Yes,
prizes. It's
right.
not something that's unfamiliar. It's just now in our faces.
Yeah. And I don't know. Sometimes I see people making mistakes, and I can't, it's not my place to try and fix them, but man, I want to, you know, and so
But you can be there open-handed.
yeah, oh yeah,
And listen, and I read something that said, people now, they more often than not, love to them is someone who will actually listen.
correct. Yeah, and that's, I think that's kind of getting looked over a lot too with a lot of our society. Everybody's so busy with themselves, and then too, like I've said before, technology plays a big part in this too. I think technology has some wonderful benefits, but I also think it has some side effects,
Yeah.
and sometimes that gets in the way.
We're young in it. We're young in tech, and
Right.
you have to think about how long it's been introduced into the world, and we're still almost in its infancy. If you
Correct.
really think about it, the iPhone came out in 2007. It's 13 years old, so we're handling something that is technically a
Yeah.
teenager. Of course, it's going to be difficult and
Oh,
complicated.
absolutely.
And these younger generations are going to be able to, I think, immerse into it better.
Well,
than
they
we
seem
were.
to. I've seen some young people do real well with technology. I mean, they manage to operate these iPhones and tablets, and
I feel like if anyone just saw this on camera, it looks like I just took like a medicine cup. And
Yeah.
it's water, but
Just water.
It's not like NyQuil or DayQuil.
no, we're not doing that.
Get the black lung pap.
No, we're not doing that.
I obviously watch silly movies because I've done like 5 references.
Well, that's
'Cause
okay.
Mama said.
Hey, well, look, as long as it makes you happy, that
Thank you for laughing, Carter.
Well, hey, I have to ask another question.
Let's do it.
Okay, I got another one. Let me see. What did I write down? Give me an idea that you're excited about for something that's currently going on or something that you're going to do in the future.
Oh gosh, I'm involved in a few things. One, Joy Floco, with the person who actually trained me and helped me come back to Ninja Warrior, because I had retired after my brain injury, and then I made a comeback because Madonna Hospital helped me get back to
Mhm.
where I was really at. And then she did. And so we started Joy Floco because we wanted to help encourage and equip people to be active. I mean, it doesn't mean they have to be an athlete, but to be active. And so we've been out in the community doing a ton of events. Like we partnered with the Girl Scouts and did a Day of Joy where we just did different things. And then the AIM Institute in Omaha, which is a nonprofit that helps
Mhm.
people underserved, underrepresented, again, people that were growing up like me, and they have free code school classes and free career counseling. And so I'm out there in the community helping do this to women, like the Women's Center for Advancement. And these are women who maybe they have a bad record or something in their past, but they don't
Mhm.
have the resources to change their life.
Right.
And now I get to be out there in the community on behalf of AIM doing this and talking to kids and schools. And I mean, it's probably more community service than I've ever done over the last 10 years that I've done in a matter of months. And it's been exciting to do that and say, hey, we have free tools for you to improve
Mhm.
your life. Now, how often do you hear that?
Yeah, not very often at all. But one thing I can say about you, ever since I've known you, that's kind of been what you've done. You've always been wanting to help. And I think that's why our friendship is the way it is, because I mean, like I said earlier, if I called you, hey Maggie, can you come do this? And you'd be like, when you need me.
Even if you called me, you said, hey, Molly, I'd probably come too. I'm just kidding.
Nah, I wouldn't call
That's
you
like
Molly.
Starbucks. They're like, hey, what's your name? And they'll say, is it Becky? And I'm like, sure. I just don't even correct them anymore. They go, Maddie, yep. And I'm always surprised. What is it today?
I got a question about the bow.
Yes.
Now, can you tell me a little bit or tell our audience about the bow that you wear?
The hot pink bow, number one, I love the color hot pink. Anything
Okay.
fluorescent and neon, I'm like, give me. I'm a big fan of that. Just high energy. Second, the bow itself represents all those dreams you had as a kid. And then as you get older, I mean, events happen, obstacles happen, your family splits up, whatever that looks like. And those dreams start to fade, and we come with challenges, and whether that's addictions or whatever that looks like. But it's the reminder that whatever dreams you had when you were a kid, they still hold true. So it represents the younger you, and that
Gotcha.
you can recognize that part of yourself as an adult. But I also 100%, 150% believe it, that any dream is possible at any age. And that's when I'm out there and I'm doing some of these things, because I mean, you've done it too. You go into the schools and these kids say, how can that happen for me? Or they kids think, oh my gosh, you've never faced any hardship. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do you want to hear how I grew up? Give me 5 minutes, because they don't realize I'm just like them. I
Right.
lived in the hood in San Diego.
Right.
Watching or listening to my brother call my mom on Mother's Day saying, I need you to bail me out of jail. Nothing in my life set the table for me for success. Absolutely not. I had to decide and choose, and I still do every single day. And there's days where I am not up for it. Honestly, I feel overwhelmed or whatever that looks like, but I also know that's not where I'm going to stay.
Right.
If it's just like when I did the world's toughest mudder, which was a 24-hour race, and I ran 75 miles in 24 hours with 330 obstacles. And all that race was 24 hours of me putting one foot in front of the other. And that's what we have to do sometimes in our life is wake up. And what if I just did my left foot, then my right foot, and it's one foot in front of the other. Now, if you can do that today, you've succeeded.
I would have to agree with you. Hey, you guys stay with us. We're going to take another break, and we'll be back with the Get You Happy On Hour, more with Maggie Thorne and Carter. Hey, it's your host, Ricky C. Simmons on 93.7 The Ticket. Get your happy on.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. For November, they have tons of fall seasonals, and you can check out their Oscar Blues, Nebraska Brewing Company, and Broken Bat Brewing Company selections as their beers of the month. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
You know, the year has been a great year for Aspen Builders. We have had many repeat customers, and we worked with a lot of new people building their dream home.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, and they've built neighborhoods in and around Lincoln for over 25 years.
It's amazing when you go through the building process. Okay, what do I need in this home? I need the 4 bedrooms. I need the walkout basement, or I need the big yard. It's fun to find that perfect lot, design the home, get everything that we need, and then we add those want things. We add the gourmet kitchen. We add the big walk-in pantry. What we try to do is balance a budget with things that you really need in the home. Get items included in this home that you won't find just in any home anymore. So in the end, you've got the perfect place.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scottsbluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom.
Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to the Get Your Happy On Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What you doing over there, Meg?
Dancing.
Bud.
Sprinkler.
Welcome back to the Get Your Happy On Hour on 93.7 The Ticket. It's your host, Ricky C. Simmons. Man, we're just having fun up here. Let that ride just a little bit longer, Carter, because I'm still over here rocking my head. I can't help myself. See, you got to be old school to know something about this, man. This is all about getting happy on. Hey! What? Now, do I hear you rapping over?
Get down. Get down.
Hey, hey Carter, I got a question for you, man. You're such a youngster, man. I'd like to know, what does a youngster do for happiness?
I mean,
what does Carter?
It might sound kind of generic, but my favorite thing to do for happiness is just sit down with friends and watch sports. That's my favorite thing to do.
That's your favorite thing to do? You don't like going nowhere? You just?
I mean, I like going on vacations and stuff like that, but like on a day-to-day basis, I mean, for something that's not too hard to do, I feel like that's a really easy way for me to feel good and be happy.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever makes you happy, man. That's what it's all about. Now, Maggie, I gotta know. I know you're a positive person. I don't have no doubt in my mind. I know you're a motivational speaker. I know you do a lot of very inspirational things. Share with us what makes Maggie happy.
All right. First of all, I have 10 things. I'm going to get really specific. Gummy bears. Gummy bears delight me. And to this day, before I get ready to compete, I actually just grab a handful because it just makes me feel like a kid. They're tasty. And people are like, oh my gosh, there's no way you actually eat gummy bears before you compete. I'm like, yeah, I've been an athlete this long. I can do whatever I want. So that to laughing with my kids. We are adventurers. I mean, we've cliff jumped together. We've traveled literally the world. My son has been to almost all 50 states with me. And we're about to tomorrow. We're going to drive to Florida.
Wow.
And so just being on an adventure with them, it's a lot of fun. And if we're not doing that, then we are all snuggling on the couch. And even though we have a really large couch, somehow they would actually rather argue over who can sit closest to me. And you move down. No, you move down. And I'm like, this couch is gigantic. And then someone will like stick their hand behind the other kid's back so they can hold my hand. And I was like, fine, I'll take this. I will take all of this. And that makes me happy. And the last thing would be the guy I'm dating. He's hilarious. He's a musician. He's zero athletic. I've never laughed and had so much fun in my life with someone.
Man, I tell you what, as far as being happy, I think mine is pretty simple. I got a few little things that I just feel like I must do every day. One of them is I got to be thankful. I count my blessings every day.
Yeah.
I always focus on the things I do have versus the things I don't. Another thing I do is I love music. Now, I cannot dance, is well documented, but I love trying. And for some reason, when I be trying to dance, even though my dancers are older than most of the people that are listening, it still makes me feel good on the inside. Another thing that I like to do is I have a membership to the car wash. I keep my car really clean
I said
all
that,
the
yeah.
time. I mean, I, I, I don't know what I think that started back when I was a teenager, but even though like the weather's really bad, I got a membership so that I can go as many times as I need to go. And I got this other thing that doesn't make sense to nobody but me, but I always keep a full tank of gas.
There you go.
I gotta have it. Those are my little things.
Except you better give someone the full context. You can't just walk around and saying I always have gas. That won't go well.
Full tank of gas.
There you go.
Hey, well, listen, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. It really means a lot to me that you guys are supporting the show. This is the Get You Happy On Hour. Your host, Ricky C. Simmons on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be back here next Sunday at 8 p.m. Y'all be sure and tune in. Every day you blessed to see, you just remember it's just another day in paradise, and you got to always get your happy on. Go!
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions,